All right, welcome back to Wash Talk, everyone, the Carwash Podcast. I'm your host, Rich DiPaolo, and Mack is back. We welcome in Mack Ewing, Senior Director of Sales and Marketing for Transchem Group. Mack, great to see you again.
Great to see you as well, Rich. It's always fun catching up with you. And I know when we talked before the show yesterday, we had a bit of hockey banter as well. So you're good. You're an honorary Canadian in our book. And even though you cheer for the Islanders, we're all on the same team at the end of the day.
I don't know if I promote that too much these days with the season that they're having, but yes, I'm never shy to talk a little hockey with you. I actually have a game in my men's league tonight that I'm looking forward to. That team is also hurting for a win, so hopefully we can pull one out tonight. But it's always great to see you, Mack. You've been on the program before. I enjoy catching up with you, and it's been about a year. It's been a year and a couple of weeks here since Transchem Group was acquired by OPW. So Transchem Group, as we know, was formerly a family-run business for about a half a century. So long ties in the industry. How has the Transchem integration into OPW progressed since the last time that we caught up about this acquisition?
Yeah, and when you say half a century, that makes it sound pretty historic, doesn't it? Which is, it's cool, but it's a little bit. I would say there's gravity to that, or there's weight and responsibility to that. But no, great callback, and thanks a lot for asking, Rich. And I think the integration's been very positive. OPW Vehicle Wash Solutions, or VWS as it's known as, has some very well-known brands in our industry with PDQ, Bellinger, ICS, Kesseltronics, and now Turtle Wax, which I always, of course, represent on the clothing I wear and on the products behind me. Just fits perfectly into that mold. It's something where it's really cool to see the Turtle Wax Pro logo and the Transchem logo beside some of those brands that certainly I grew up in the industry in a family business, really respecting and admiring. And just to see that our name beside those brands, it's motivating and it's something that gets us excited every day. But I also think we share so many distributors and so many end customers with those brands that they've really, over the past 12 months, started to understand some of the value of bringing those brands together under one roof, we call it the United We Wash program. And I think that that's been probably the most exciting part of it is, yeah, there's been process changes, of course. We were a half-century old family-run company. My grandfather started it, and my dad and my uncle operated it up until the acquisition by OPW, and are still involved today, of course. But those aren't the exciting things for our customers or for the industry, and they're definitely not the exciting things for your listeners. But I think the exciting things are just the ability for us to go to market and try to deliver the best product we can, to deliver very strong value in a time when operators and distributors are looking for value, now more than ever, certainly. And that reaction's been very positive and continues to be very positive. And I think you never know exactly what to expect from the market when you announce such an acquisition. And going from a family business to a larger publicly owned company, that was something that we just thought, okay, we have to make sure we communicate this very transparently, be very direct, very hands-on with our customers and our partners, our suppliers. And that's gone very well. And it's been something that's been an exciting year, a year of lots of challenges and lots of opportunities, but also a lot of growth for us as a business, and certainly for me as a professional as well.
Yeah, great. Sounds great, and I'm glad it's all working out. And part of that transparency after the acquisition was actually coming on Wash Talk and going through my line of questioning about the acquisition shortly after it occurred. So during that interview, Mac, if I could remind you, one of the benefits or one of the things that you were most excited about after joining the OPW family is having the ability to reach more customers in more places around the world. So have you noticed a significant uptick in international business since the acquisition last year?
Yeah, we've definitely noticed a significant uptick in international, I would say, awareness first and foremost for Transchem Group and for our products. whether that's our chemistry or some of our equipment offerings, like our clear wash reclaim technology. We were a family owned business, like we've talked about. And part of that is you have certain constraints around the reach that you do have. And, every investment we make in different markets is one that's very calculated and has to be very thoughtful. And an exciting part of the strategic advantage of being not just a part of OPW Vehicle Wash Solutions, but OPW and its parent company, Dover, is that they do have significant business operations around the world. And that's been something we've been able to tap into. And, certainly as we look at international markets, whether it's some of the traditional car wash markets that you might think of, like Germany or the Netherlands, or whether it's some emerging markets, we think about even China as something where there's explosive growth in professional automated car washing. Uh, we look at that and we say, there's a lot of market share here for us to earn under the Transchem brand, but also under the VWS brand. And so when we go to shows like the NACS trade show that was held this year in Las Vegas in October, it's very well attended by international guests who are looking to either get into the car wash industry globally or are already in the industry. And they're coming right to the OPW booth because they recognize that brand from maybe the fuel dispensers that they buy or other petroleum related products or even other Dover company products that they purchase. And so we get a little bit of that built-in legitimacy and built-in brand recognition that previously as a family-owned business, even though we did have the TurtleX brand that we were always very proud to represent, and that certainly has great brand recognition, we definitely had to work hard to earn that legitimacy and build those relationships. And it's not at all to say that that's not part of our everyday international sales motions. It absolutely is. In a lot of different countries around the world, they're very relational when it comes to how they look at industry and how they look at selecting the suppliers that they work with. And for us, it's about continuing to build on that work that we had done to earn that trust globally, and then tap into Dover and OPW's reach internationally. And that combination has been, a really, really exciting boost to our international business. That being said, of course, oftentimes these are longer lead cycle opportunities for us when we look at growth in China or growth in Thailand, as an example, a really exciting customer opportunity we're working on there. Those don't happen overnight. Those take time and those take diligence and relationship building and in-person visits and the support that we've received from Vehicle Wash Solutions to go out and go after that business and work with those potential customers has also really allowed us to look forward at the international market and say, this is somewhere that we see great growth potential. So, no, it's a great callback. I appreciate you bringing that up because certainly personally, that was something that I was excited about. And we have seen that pan out. And you always want those things to happen faster maybe than they do. I think that's always part of international opportunities or even opportunities in our home soil. But definitely something that we look forward to in 2025 and beyond.
Sounds good. Yeah, it sounds like you'll have a good opportunity to fill up your passport book with stamps in these coming years. And now all that's left, Mac, is learning a few different languages, right? So best of luck, yeah, with that international business. But pulling you back to the United States, if I can,
Yeah.
what trends are you seeing in the car wash chemical industry specifically to the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely. I think overall for the car wash industry in the US right now, and I would lump in North America in general with this, I personally get to spend a lot of time in person with our customers across North America. And I'd say that the focus on three factors right now are what we're really trying to work within. And that's improved quality, improved service, and improved marketing. So as we know, leading up to kind of mid 2023, a lot of the growth in our industry and a lot of the articles on carwash.com or the interviews on your podcast were very much focused around explosive growth in new site development and explosive growth in our industry overall and the different technologies available. And that was really exciting. And those were certainly very exciting times, kind of that pre, mid, and post COVID era of growth. And then we saw a rise in interest rates. We saw some saturation in different areas of North America. And specifically, we all know of the cities in across the US where there might be 16 car washes in a town of 40,000 people or whatever those numbers might be. And so we had this slight pause that we've been looking at where the industry's been considering where do we go next and how do we deliver the best quality products to the market. Car wash membership sales have been very steady and growing kind of steadily over the past few years. We haven't seen at all pullback in consumer spending in car washing, and that's something that's very encouraging. I don't think it's surprising for those of us who have been around the industry for a while, and certainly those around the industry long before me. It's a very resilient industry. It's one that's been largely recession resilient in many ways as we look back to 2008 and through COVID as well. But it's a time where we're looking at how do we optimize as an industry. So when we're looking at chemistry within the context of that, I think the quality of the wash is the number one ask we get from operators and distributors. It's how do we deliver the highest quality product to our customers? So when they see another car wash on the road, or maybe several other car washes on the road, and we get them in our door, they have that amazing experience. So the car, it's table stakes. The car has to be clean, it has to be dry, it has to be shiny. We all know that, but it also has to have great scents. There has to be beautiful foam coverage on the vehicle. And certainly many factors on the site, like the cleanliness of the bay or LED lighting or otherwise. But that quality is something that we've really had a chance to continue to focus on. And I would say, and I think every chemical supplier would say this, so I take that with a grain of salt, but we've always been proud of the quality that we deliver. And I think we do produce really good quality chemistry. And with that, this quality focus is something that's been an exciting alignment of our values. It's not just finding the lowest priced product and getting that out to the largest number of customers. Value is always important, and we try to be very competitive on pricing. But quality is something that customers are focusing on now more than ever. And related to that is quality within the context of reclaim systems. And I know that certainly reclaim companies and reclaim systems in general are something that you folks cover quite a bit. That's not going away, right? The number of reclaim systems is only going to increase in the US and Canada and likely abroad as well. And so how does chemistry play within those reclaim systems? How do you make sure there's no odors? There's no negative impacts of reclaimed chemistry. That's something that we spend a lot of time developing. Our technology, we've always been reclaim compatible, but we talk about reclaim optimized within the context of quality for a car wash. And I think that's really one of the main trends that we see in the chemistry industry right now as it relates to car washing. And then the other two, service and marketing, I think those go hand in hand in a lot of ways. When you go onto a site, your brand is how you represent yourself. And an operator, they have to train their employees to really understand how to give great service. It's not something that every employee who works at a car wash inherently knows. It's part of the training program that a lot of the national and regional brands have rolled out. And I think they've done oftentimes a really good job of that. So when we show up to a car wash, we want that friendly staff member greeting us. We don't want to wait in line for a long time. And we want them to be educated on the products that they're selling. And I always equate this to a restaurant. And we all know when you go to a restaurant and the server doesn't really seem to know what's on the menu. Maybe they haven't eaten there very many times. Maybe they don't understand the ingredients the chef has in the kitchen. And you contrast that with a great restaurant experience. Doesn't have to be high end or expensive, but a great restaurant experience where they understand the products, they understand why it's exciting for the customer to know where the beef came from or where the vegetables were grown. And I think that when I equate that to car washing, it's understanding why is a graphene product, for example, really good at protecting your vehicle investment and creating a beautiful shine that's going to last. If a staff member knows that, you're getting a great quality of service and you're building confidence with consumers. And as chemical suppliers, we could create all of the terminology and technology, and some would even say buzzwords, right? As it relates to an industry like ours, it's largely unregulated. But if we don't educate operators or distributors on how to speak to those products, we oftentimes won't be maximizing our opportunity. And I think that's a really critical factor as we think about trends in chemistry going forward. And then finally with marketing, for us, we have a great boost in having the TurtleX Pro brand. That's something where you can put that brand up on signage on the site and instill confidence in a consumer that this is a high quality product. But of course, there's many great brands in our industry, and that's good for our industry to have many great brands that consumers recognize. And so, from a marketing standpoint, really improving what's happening on site, what's building awareness for the customer, what's keeping them coming back because they understand why they're getting great value for paying 15 to 20 to 25 plus dollars for a car wash. I think that that's something that chemical companies probably play a more important role in that marketing than any other supplier, because at the end of the day, equipment is so important to the quality of a wash and the success of a wash. But oftentimes, it's not the equipment that the customer is coming back for. It's that branded product, or it's that type of product technology that they're coming back for. And so we have a great responsibility to help operators market those products to their customers.
Fantastic response, Mac, and I couldn't have said it better myself. A lot of great points there. And educating the operator and the employees obviously is something that you're huge with. It just reminds me of you contributed to PCND magazine a few months back, the October 2024 issue, I believe it was, on PFAS and also known as the forever chemical. I encourage folks to go back and read that article. You took me to school on it, and I learned a lot, and I enjoyed it. So well said, Mac, and thanks for that response. But if I can get on my soapbox here for a second, Mac, one thing this show does not get enough credit for is the timing of our guests. And when we have guests on, we're either breaking news on this show, or we're just following up shortly after news has been broken. So that's the case. The latter here is, wouldn't you know it? And I know this was recorded, so it won't match up for those listening. But yesterday, we posted some news from Transchem Group on carwash.com, and we actually included that news in our car wash newsletter today. Don't know if you saw that come out, but Transchem recently unveiled new look branding for 6 products within its AutoLux chemical lineup. Can you share more details about this product lineup, and why was now a good time for a refreshed look?
Absolutely. And in terms of credit where credit's due, I'll also make sure your audience knows that you get credit for adding this question to our interview list today.
That's right.
I don't well what kind of marketer I am where I didn't have this front and center on the topic, but
Right.
yeah, certainly I appreciate you bringing it up. Autolux, just for those who don't know, so Transchem Group is the company that we operate within OPW Vehicle Wash Solutions. We have 2 lines of products. We have TurtleX Pro, which I think most of your audience is likely familiar with. It's a great, really exceptional quality product. It's hyper concentrated product. There's various brands within the TurtleX Pro lineup, like Super Hard Shell, Ice, Fire, and Titanium. But we also have the AutoLux line, and that's a line that we developed in-house. It's our more value-driven economy line, if you will. So still great quality products, still a high degree of concentration, but ultimately they're less concentrated than TurtleX Pro products. And the input materials, we're choosing more based on the economy than on maximizing the quality of the wash. So again, still great quality. We try to give everyone the opportunity to select from both lineups, TurtleX Pro and AutoLux. TurtleX Pro is what we lead with, but AutoLux is there when price is really a key consideration. And we got to talk about a matrix of price, value, and performance. So when we look at that, we want to make sure that we're checking as many boxes as possible. And AutoLux oftentimes is able to fill a gap in a consumer or an operator's need. And so when we look at our 6 new products we launched within the AutoLux line that are now branded products, we've heard a lot of feedback from, I would say specifically distributors, that they're looking for support in selling some of our AutoLux products to operators and helping them communicate to their customers the value of those products and what those products do, which is very integrated to our previous question. So again, credit to you for that through line there. And so we have now within AutoLux for the first time a branded ceramic product, a branded graphene product, a branded triple foam product. And they have, I think, really cool logos for your listeners and for those watching the podcast today. If you check out the article on carwash.com, we've included the logos there. And I think our marketing team did a great job of developing some really engaging, really fun looking logos. And those logos are intended to go on signage at a car wash and to explain to the average consumer, here's what this product is, here's what it does, and here's why you should use it on your vehicle. And so it's helping operators while still focused on delivering value and delivering profitability to their bottom line, give their customers a great quality product that they understand the application type for. And so if I'm going through a wash and I see the word graphene, I likely don't know what exactly that means and why that's beneficial to me. However, if I see a logo, this case of a knight in shining armor, it's got graphene on it, and there's a tagline and there's supporting content like videos or signage or graphics, I'm going to visually understand much more clearly why I should purchase this product and why it's good for me as a consumer. And that ultimately is good for our industry. It's good for the operator to have a higher average ticket price and deliver more profitability. It's good for distributors who are selling the higher end products at a higher volume. And it's good for us as chemical suppliers. And so that's where we made the decision to roll out this AutoLux product lineup. And certainly it's something that's been met with a lot of excitement from our existing customers. But I think more so it's helped others in the industry maybe understand some of the concepts that we could have communicated more clearly visually than we had through just simple product descriptions and product naming. So it's been really exciting for us, and a big kudos to the marketing team at Transchem for all their hard work to make that happen.
Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to answer my follow-up question there. Yep, I couldn't resist. I saw the news and I knew I was having you on the program, so I wanted to follow up with you and thank you for the credit. I can take it where I can get it, and I like to pitch in where I can around here for sure. But you mentioned graphene a few times in your previous responses. Some even say the background behind me here looks like a graphene chemical structure a little bit, but graphene has been the big, you mentioned buzzword earlier in our conversation. It's been really the big tech driver in car wash chemistry. Can you give us a glimpse into the R&D and maybe what's next, possibly after something like graphene?
You're right. Graphene has certainly been the big tech driver, and it's not even specifically close for car wash chemistry over the past couple of years. You walk around any of our industry trade shows or go to a car wash supplier's website, oftentimes not even exclusively chemical suppliers, but suppliers overall. Graphene's kind of the what's new in the industry. And similar to ceramic 10, 15 plus years ago, it's an exciting technology that's changing how we like to think about shining vehicles and protecting vehicles specifically in this case. So it's certainly been a big growth driver, and that was led by the larger chemical suppliers in our industry. It was looking at what's happening in the detailing space. Graphene has been a detailing product that's been proven for years. It's buffed into a vehicle and creates a really strong web-like protection. And certainly if it wasn't done on purpose, your background absolutely evokes that graphene chemical structure for sure. So it's an exciting product that we brought to market. And at Transchem, we watched graphene really proliferate through that hands-on, more detail-oriented market, and then research how do we bring this into the professional context in a way that makes it effective, that really makes it a value add for the customer, and that is something that's actually adding value as opposed to just kind of another buzzword. And I think that's where graphene's exciting for our industry as a whole. The challenge with graphene that we've seen and that the data that we have access to shows is that ceramic is a technology that the average consumer who goes to a car wash, you can picture any demographic, they know what ceramic is. They might have ceramic countertops as an example. And ceramic is known as something that's very hard, that creates a protective surface. It's easy to understand and kind of evoke that imagery of a ceramic shell around your vehicle. And we have a product at Turtle X Pro, super hard shell. It's a ceramic. It's that shell visualization that it evokes. Graphene doesn't necessarily connect that same way. It is a technology that is known sometimes for being in like a pencil, for example. Someone might think of that. It's not something that's known for being utilized as a protectant or utilized in our daily lives. And we believe that the big opportunity right now with graphene is to help educate consumers what it actually is and what value it can bring to protecting their vehicle. So when we think about graphene and kind of the future of where it's going and what's next, we have a long cycle here of improving the quality of graphene products in our industry overall. I think there's some great ones right now. I'd like to think that ours is one of them, but there's a lot of growth there to make them even better. And so we're just at the beginning kind of that graphene cycle in terms of product development. But more importantly, in my mind, in terms of growth for the industry, it's educating consumers what graphene is and why it's valuable for their vehicle, how it protects their vehicle, how it adds additional shine, how it's long lasting. Those are things that we haven't necessarily done a great job of as an industry of pausing and understanding where those opportunities exist. And I'd be willing to bet that if you were to drive around your local neighborhood to different car washes that have graphene, firstly, a lot of them won't have graphene yet, and we see that consistently. It's still something that's being adopted by operators. But secondly, if there is graphene, there's likely not a lot of supporting content or materials to educate the consumer about what it is or why it's something that they should spend up to $5 or $7 or more dollars to add to their vehicle. So I've heard it described as kind of that race to the $35 single car wash. It's a new technology. I like to think of it a bit differently, as it's something that does add, a great opportunity for increased value for the consumer and a higher ticket sale for the operator. But that comes with educating the consumer. And as an industry, we're fairly antiquated in educating consumers about, the core value of a professional car wash. I think a lot of that education is frankly still focused on why it's better for the environment to wash it in a professional wash versus your driveway. And that's something we've been talking about for decades or likely probably since the beginning of the automated car wash industry itself. So, that's something where we focus on education, we focus on marketing campaigns on site, we focus on teaching staff how to speak to graphene right now. Of course, we're looking ahead at what new technologies are out there. I don't think it's going to be in the back half of the wash and the finishing product front. I think it's a lot of focus on cleaning products, so on pre-soaks and detergents themselves. And we launched a product last year, one shot, 1 ounce of chemistry for a high pH pre-soak. That's the type of innovation that I think we should look at the industry from a chemical perspective to deliver, as opposed to further innovations in the back of the tunnel, because those are expensive products. They're products that you can charge more for because that's something that the consumer can really see. But at the same time, it's something that's now a bit saturated, and we have some work to do to really create education around.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Good to keep in mind, Max. So if I could get your lens a little bit closer to this year, I'm sure you talk with a lot of operators as customers, and maybe even some vendors, maybe some vendors inside the OPW umbrella, if you will. What is everybody saying for 2025? How might 2025 be different than 2024 for car washers?
We talked a bit about how there has been a slight pause in terms of the growth of new site development in our industry. And I think building on that, how I look at it, and people who are certainly a lot smarter than I am and a lot better connected in terms of the public markets or private markets are looking at it, is, we have a better understanding now of likely where interest rates are going to sit. And actually, we're recording this, I believe, the day after rates were held. And so as we look at that, it's something where we know roughly where rates are. They're not about to plummet, pending unforeseen circumstances anytime soon. They're likely not about to spike, pending, again, unforeseen circumstances anytime soon. So there's some macro uncertainty that's been removed, and certainly some political uncertainty as well. And now as we look at growth for the industry, when I talk to operators or investors in operators, they're thinking about how do we grow strategically by looking at areas where there's a great customer demographic. There might already be a couple of car washes, so it may be what from the outside could look like getting saturated or having some strong competition. But the quality of those car washes may not be where an operator strives to get to, quite frankly. And so I think now that going back to that focus on quality, it's if there is some competition, but maybe they're not delivering the greatest quality vehicle, or maybe the site's not that well maintained, or the service from the staff isn't as strong as it could be. I think those are all factors that someone building a new location, whether it's new to industry or whether it's an existing operator expanding their network, are going to look at and are going to start being cautious, certainly in their rollout of new locations and new builds, but more optimistic and starting to really dig back into that new site development. And that's exciting for our industry. And I think we see that in other kind of comparable industries across North America. So that for me is one difference that we look forward to seeing. And next year or whenever it is the next time we're on the show, we'll have to debrief on that one and see if that was a hot take or a nice cold take or somewhere in between. But certainly, I also think that technology continues to play a pivotal role in the growth of our industry. And we all know that AI, since the last time we spoke, has been something that is not only a buzzword, but genuinely a transformational technology. And you look at that, it has transformed a lot of the consumer products we use already. It certainly will transform those products. And we will see that in car washing, and car wash operators who don't adapt to having AI integrated solutions for their wash likely will be at some form of a disadvantage. And this is an industry that's not necessarily known for being at the forefront of all emerging technology, but very connected to what's happening in the technology space, very thoughtful about how to implement that in a sustainable and in a way that makes sense within the economics of the industry. And we know that a lot of brands are now starting to roll out their AI powered solutions for delivering a better customer experience, for marketing more effectively for car washes. When we talked about this show here, you mentioned that there's AI tools that support your audio editing of the show. And that's a great example, I think, of, we're on a car wash show utilizing those tools. We're going to see those tools happen and roll out in car washes as well. And that should create meaningful efficiencies for car wash operators, but more importantly, a better experience for car wash consumers. And that's something that, I feel a bit silly saying that AI is a big trend that's going to be different this year than last year, because yeah, gee, of course it is. But I genuinely believe it. And I think that our industry is ready for it in many ways, but it has to be done in a way that works within the economics of our industry, that is sustainable, and that, like graphene, actually adds value to a customer.
Certainly, AI has its tentacles in a lot of things these days, including this podcast, as you mentioned. But one place we'll see it is on those trade show floors. And over this next couple of weeks here, we're going to start packing our cowboy boots and our Stetson hats and our big belt buckles. And we're heading down to Fort Worth for the SCWA show, right, Mac? So what can attendees expect at the Transchem booth at the upcoming SCWA trade show in Fort Worth, Texas?
I know you and I are both big fans of the SCWA show and of Fort Worth in general. I think it's a great city. It's an awesome venue to host a car wash show. We've talked about this before, but it's an intimate show in the sense that it's not the largest show in the industry, but it's a big show. And suppliers really show up with awesome booths. Attendees show up and they're ready to make purchases. It's the first show of the calendar year that's a major show every year. And so it's an exciting, fresh start to the year. A lot of car wash operators come into the year with a certain strategy or a plan to whether it's optimize their business or expand their business or reduce costs or any of the above. This is the show where they go to look at suppliers and say, okay, how can you help me do that? And I think that's why this show really resonates with me as a strong one. that, and it's the middle of the winter for us up north, and it's a nice excuse to get down south that one more time for sure. So yeah, at the show, from Transchem Group, this is our first major show where we're fully integrated within the OPW Vehicle Wash Solutions booth. And thankfully for us and for people looking to find us, we're right at the front. You walk in and we're right there. And so TurtleX Pro, Transchem, we're part of that booth. We have our own space within the broader VWS selection on the floor. And why I think that's exciting for attendees is that we have a lot of shared customers who purchase many of the brands. And so they get exposure to these various brands under one space in the show. And at the ICA show last year, the car wash show last year in Nashville, certainly we found ourselves running those customers back and forth across the show quite a bit. And so I think just a great customer experience. We have it all in one space, and that's a big win for us. I also think that for those exploring new equipment suppliers or chemical suppliers or technology suppliers, in the case of ICS and Kesseltronics, it's one space where they can go to and learn more about that as a group, as opposed to kind of touring around booth by booth in the way that other brands in our industry who have consolidated have aimed to deliver as well. So it's exciting to be a part of that. It's exciting to be a part of a bigger booth space at the show for us at Transchem, and so really looking forward to that show. There's two main things that we're looking to educate the consumer about. The first, which I mentioned earlier, is our one-shot pre-soak. It's a TurtleX Pro product, a high pH pre-soak. This is an area where we constantly, hear from consumers. They want innovation in pre-soaks. And that's something in our industry where innovation's been focused, like we talked about, on the back half of the wash, in the ceramics, the graphenes, the carnubas, etc. So for us, that's a product where you use a little bit, it goes a long way. It's a new type of pre-soak technology. And we launched that at the car wash show in Nashville, but we still have a lot of room for education in the market and clarifying what the product is, communicating why it works, why it's so efficient, and what's behind that innovation. So that's one that we're really looking forward to continuing to discuss with the market. The other is our soaks cleaning system. So SOAX, soaks. And this is a lineup of equipment that we've developed in-house at Transchem for decades now. It's something where we have great adoption in certain areas of North America and the self-serve car wash market and prep guns for tunnel washes. But we don't have great adoption, certainly in the southern portion of the US and other pockets there. And so soaks and bringing awareness to soaks as an equipment offering that we have is another big priority for us at this show. And Texas is known for having some really cool self-serve car washes. And so I think it's a perfect place to be promoting that and showing the US market a bit more about that product lineup. So yeah, overall, really looking forward to this show. Really looking forward to some barbecue. And they always do put on a great event after the show, which just brings all the attendees together in a way that I think is really inspiring for the car wash community and creates connections that aren't always possible at some of the other shows across the country. So looking forward to it. And I really appreciate you asking about it.
Well, sounds like you will have your hands full and be very busy at that booth this year, Mac. Hopefully, I'll be able to pull you aside and catch up in person. It's always great to see you in person, and by that time, I know your Leafs will be entrenched in a playoff spot at that point. But hopefully, my Islanders will creep up the standings and maybe fight for one of those wild card spots that are out there. Who knows? But
There we go.
it's great to catch up with you. You spent a lot of time with me, Mac. It was great to catch up with you today, and like I said, hope to see you soon here in Texas in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Well, thanks as always, Rich. Really appreciate it. You folks do awesome work over there and love listening to the show. So always appreciate you having me on. Thank you.